just for having decided to see this month as a pilgrimage, your life as a pilgrimage. You will not come back the same person as you were when you left, and that is a relief. That's a blessing. That's an opening. Hello and welcome back to Remember Why You're Here, a podcast for seekers and sensitives where you can relax, receive, reconnect to yourself, and remember the most important thing of all, why you're here. I'm Asia Suler, author, Earth Intuitive teacher, and this is our intuitive reading for the month of March 2026. This year has already felt so big and so much has happened that I'm a little bit in awe of the fact that we're only in March. And at the same time, I'm also asking myself, how is it March already? But this reading really gave me a lot of perspective for the month ahead. So I'm hoping it is helpful for you as well. So some of the themes that we have up for this month are seeing the bigger story, transversing into new phases of your life, spiritual unfolding, the call to motion, and soul perspective. So this month I worked with Kim Krantz's archetype deck, and the card that I pulled is the Pilgrim. So the Pilgrim card is this beautiful image, this beautiful collage where there's a picture of hands clasped in prayer over one's heart. There's an eye and a mountain surrounded by sort of a swirl of rainbow watercolor. And I loved getting this card. I feel a very particular connection to this archetype of the Pilgrim, and it really felt like it came in with so much guidance for this month up ahead. So in the guidebook, Kim Krantz writes, "For the Pilgrim, an outward journey is always an inward journey," and goes on to talk about this idea that even when you are in stillness, when you really embody this archetype of the Pilgrim, you are always able to feel this movement in your heart towards, what is calling you, this movement of the heart towards what it loves. And embedded in this card is this idea of this call to motion, that there's a call at the heart of your life to move, that there's invitation here into new levels of freedom and expansion and growth. This is why we take pilgrimages. And also this call to look at sort of what is it that's in the way. It's like at any point we could open our door and just start walking and be a pilgrim on the pilgrimage path. And inside of this card, there was an invitation to ask yourself, what are the doors? What are the blocks? What are the things that I feel like are in my way that are preventing me from stepping out that door and becoming a pilgrim in life? So I loved her description in the guidebook, but I also have such a strong connection with this archetype of the Pilgrim and the idea of pilgrimage. So I was really excited when I picked this card because I already have just this sense of the depth of what this really means for this month of March. And I do have a feeling that this is a big month. So the etymology of the word pilgrimage comes from the Latin peregrinus, which means foreigner or stranger, and also agir, which means field. So it's literally being a stranger or a foreigner through the land that you're moving through. It's like you are coming from elsewhere to move through a landscape that is unknown to you, a landscape that is not your home place. And I think this etymology of this word can really help us as we step into my reading for this month ahead of March 2026. First, I just want to ground a little bit in what pilgrimage actually is. And I feel such like a heart resonance with this word because I really consider myself someone who is a pilgrim in this life, a devotee of pilgrimage. For me, travel is about pilgrimage. It's about this deeper journey. And so I think it's important to put this in context that pilgrimage is not just travel, right? So sometimes we travel, right, to escape our life. The pilgrim travels to move deeper into life, to move deeper into their existence. Going on a pilgrimage is not about endlessly consuming new places or, exoticizing what we don't know. It's about encountering the numinous inside of an unknown journey. It's about going deeper into life rather than escaping it. It's about deep listening and openness to what comes. It's so much less about ticking things off a to-do list and so much more about being present for whatever it is that is here to meet you, whatever it is that is arriving. It's to go on pilgrimages, to feel a call to go on an unknown journey, because you sense that there's something within that journey that is here to help you uncover a new layer of your soul or your soul's perspective. To me, it feels like the difference between climbing to the top of a mountain and circumnavigating a mountain. The pilgrim isn't here on a destination quest. The pilgrim's quest is not about reaching some ultimate viewpoint or end goal. It's about the experience along the way. It's about walking the whole base of the mountain in order to experience the mountain itself, in order to go deeper into life. So there's really this focus on inner experience so much more than outer accomplishment. And ultimately, we go on pilgrimage to be changed. We go in order to come back as a different, more expanded, more soul resonant aspect of ourselves, to come back with more wholeness than with which we left. And I say all of this because I think that there's a huge invitation this month to reframe our journeys as pilgrimages, to remember from this soul perspective that truly we are beings of spirit, beings of energy and consciousness who decide to take a pilgrimage through life, through this thing we call physical existence, through this experience of being here on earth. Our souls are pilgrims here. We are traveling through. We decide to come, to learn, to be changed. And I really have the sense that if we can remember this, that it will help us so much in the great passage that I'm sensing in this month. I kept getting this really more feeling state inside of myself, this feeling of like March being this sense of crossing a great place into April. Like where we start in this month is not going to be where we end. We won't be in the same place at the end of this month that we were when we began it. Like I just get this sense of like crossing some sort of spiritual terrain in your life this month. And it really got me thinking about castles, how we sort of idealize castles as these, sort of romanticized places of yore. But the reality is that castles were not built for comfort. Castles were built for protection. We know that the reality of living in a castle would have been very dark, very cold, just extremely uncozy and not very livable. And so it felt like with this image that there's going to be this invitation this month to like step out of the castles that we've built in our life and be able to turn around and look back at them and realize that the things that we built to protect ourselves in our lives, while they did a really good job at protecting ourselves, we're really going to be able to see in which the way those structures are not livable. Like it's actually not a very ideal place to live. And bless our hearts, this is what we have to do in order to survive and evolve in this world, is sometimes build castles, build structures that work at the time to protect us. And yet, once we feel this call towards movement, this call towards pilgrimage, we start stepping out, and then we have perspective to look back and realize, wow, actually, this place that I thought I needed so much, the structure in my life that I thought I needed so much, it is actually making my life less livable. It actually wasn't very cozy in there. It didn't bring that much to my existence. All it did was protect me, but it didn't bring me life. I much rather prefer sleeping out here underneath the stars or feeling the sun on my face during the day. And I get the sense that whatever we're going to be stepping out of this month, sort of stepping away from to get perspective on, we're going to be able to see that, and we're going to be able to envision a new structure for our lives because we've taken those first steps onto the pilgrimage. We have this ability to look back. And I really get this sense that there's something about getting a chunk of your story this month, like seeing a chunk of your story in a way you didn't see it before, being able to conceptualize of your story in a different way. And I want you to really trust what it is that you see. Whatever piece of your story comes back to you, arrives to you, clicks in for you, makes sense for you in a different way, really trust that. Trust what you're seeing, because this chunk, this perspective that you're able to get on your life now, this piece of your story, it's going to help you in the transitional energy of this month, because I do get the feeling like we're transitioning into something big in April. I don't know, like I get the sense that there's going to be like transformation on offer in April. And so the perspective that we're getting this month, this soulful perspective on our lives, on the things that the castles we've built to protect us, on, our stories, that this is really going to help us in this continual story of unfolding that we are walking on. And so no matter what it is you encounter this month, to really resettle yourself in this perspective of the pilgrim, to see your life from this soul-led perspective as a pilgrim on the pilgrimage path. There are certain overarching spiritual rules about pilgrimage, and one of them is that when you are on pilgrimage, it's much less about, seeing the big tourist destinations or getting to that point where you have the big overlook, and it's so much more about recognizing that everything that comes up along your path is a messenger, that everything that comes up along your journey is bringing you information and perspective and a reflection that you need. For the pilgrim, walking the path is the pilgrimage. And so as you move through this month and stuff comes up, I want to invite you to see it from this soulful perspective, this perspective of your soul, this wider being who has decided to go on this wild pilgrimage through physical existence, through life here on this planet, and ask, what is this reflecting back to me? What is this showing me? If my whole life was truly a sacred journey in which my soul decided to come here and go on a journey in which I was changed, in which I received a piece of myself, and I came back to my home, the place that I originate from, the place in spirit and in source, in the divine that I originate from, that I come home with this greater understanding of myself. If this is true, if this is the reality, then what is it that this event or this change or, this shift is reflecting back to me? What is this messenger on the path, and what message do they bring me? It's our job as pilgrims to allow the pilgrimage itself to transform us. That's the purpose. That's the goal. And I do get the sense that there are some outer energies in March that are coming in to transform us. And all we really have to do is commit in our heart to being on the pilgrimage of our life, and to simply noticing what it is that's coming up for us, and regrounding in that trust, that trust in our own soul, that our own soul knew what it was doing when it decided to take this pilgrimage through this life. There's a really beautiful essay by a Czech writer and geologist Václav Cílek called Bees of the Invisible. And in this essay, he outlines these rules of pilgrimage. And it's a really beautiful essay. I'll put the link here if anyone is interested in reading it. But I wanted to read a few of these rules because while he is writing about pilgrimages to places here on earth, I think it's really helpful for us from a soul perspective when we remember why we're here on this planet. So here's just a few of the rules. There's more than this, but Here are the few that really stood out to me for this reading this month. So first, we have this rule of home, this idea that we need to travel out in order to recognize our home, that we need to leave in order to understand where we belong. And I think that so much of our journey here on this planet is remembering that we belong no matter what, remembering home, even as we come here and decide to forget. So you are on this journey of finding home as you are willing to leave home. And it's a beautiful paradox. The next rule is the rule of resonance. And I love this rule when I'm traveling, but I think it's also so applicable to just life in general. And it's this rule that a smaller place that we resonate with is more important than a great place of pilgrimage. So from a travel perspective, it's like that one stone that you found out in the field that you sat with and just had such a big experience with is so much more important than the fact that you made it to Stonehenge. So this is true for our lives too. We often have these really big goals in our lives. We have these sites we want to visit, these things we want to achieve, and those are important energies to help us moving forward. But the small moments of resonance we have in our life, like, that afternoon you spent outside with your kid playing in the creek, that just was like actual joy and not just exhaustion. Or, that book that you read that one day, that chapter that you read that one day sitting in that coffee shop, and you just felt your world like crack open into more possibilities than you had felt before. Those moments are what a life of pilgrimage are made of. Those are the accomplishments your soul came here to experience. And I think we all need to remember this so much, especially when we live in a world where like the big, the grandiose, the popular, the obvious, whatever it is, that these are so often telegraphed to us as the goals to achieve, when from our soul's perspective, those are not goals at all. Those are almost like side quests. The goal are those moments where you feel connection, belonging, understanding, and resonance with your own soul. So when we view life as a pilgrimage, we tend to have more of those moments, and we're able to recognize them more when they come up. Václav Cílek also has the rule of return, which is the idea that we need to keep returning to a place at different times in different ways in order to see its wholeness. That when we are meant to be in deep relationship to a place, we will be called back there again and again, and that is part of us understanding its wholeness. And I love this because on a soul level, that's what we do on this planet. We come back again and again in order to experience life from different perspectives, different angles, different upbringings, different lands, different cultures. But I also think it's important within our individual lives to remember this, because so often we come back to the same places in our life again and again. And this makes sense because our life is a pilgrimage. So of course, this rule of return, we will be brought back to this place. It doesn't mean we failed. It doesn't mean we're on the wrong path. It means that we're here to understand more of our own wholeness by experiencing this place again from a different perspective, because you are not who you were when you experienced this place last time, whatever this place is for you right now. You are different, and so you are going to get more perspective, more wholeness through visiting this place once again. And I think we all just need to hear this so much, that this affirmation, our hearts need it, that this rule of return is not our failure. It's how a pilgrim goes deeper on this journey of becoming. And then we have this rule of the slow approach, that sometimes in order to reach the places we most desire to experience, we need to go slowly. We need to be on foot. In some medieval practices of pilgrimage, during the medieval era in Europe, pilgrimage was an incredibly important and sacred endeavor. Some people would walk on their knees to approach a holy site. And so I want I wanted to bring this rule in because sometimes we feel like if we're moving slowly, we're not moving at all. But this is also part of the pilgrim's path, that some places will not open for you unless you approach slowly. So if there's something you've been working on, moving towards, and it feels slow going, know that that might be the exact right way to approach this in order for that new place of understanding and perspective and connection to open for you. And then finally, we have the rule of reciprocal awakening, which is this rule that by journeying, we allow not only ourselves to awaken, but we reinvigorate the earth, that our pilgrimages taken with an open heart, that they bring awakenings to the places that we visit. And I think we need to remember this in our lives, because sometimes we can just get so like myopic in our own existences and the struggles and the challenges of our lives, that we forget that this journey of awakening that we're on, this pilgrimage that we're on, we're not just on it for ourselves, and we're not even just on it for our own souls. We are also on this journey for the earth. We came here at this time for a reason, to be a part of an evolution and an unfolding that is happening here on this planet, an evolution and an unfolding that is so much bigger than even our species. It's a planetary wide movement, and we've been asked to come here on a pilgrimage to step into this rule of reciprocal awakening. So everything that you were doing on your path to continue to unfold, all the ways into which you are recommitting to your journey, in which you're willing to see your journey as the pilgrimage that it is, it brings energy, perspective, and awakenings to this planet as well. So when I picked this card, I started thinking about the pilgrimages that I've been on in my life, and I was trying to remember, what were they like? Like, what was that experience like? And I think this is important because we often forget that pilgrimage is a kind of altered state. It's different than your normal life. And so we can expect a month defined by being a pilgrim to be perhaps a little bit differently. So time might move differently. I think this is one reason why I kept getting this image of like transversing an aspect of your life, or like this sort of like long journey or movement, that we're going to be different at the end of this month, because time's going to move differently. There might be times where it feels really fast, and then also times where it really slows down and maybe stretches out. And just to be aware of almost the fluidity of time and to be in relationship with that. When we are in pilgrimage, we are especially attuned to synchronicity and serendipity. So I really invite you this month to notice what synchronicities are coming in, to notice the serendipities, to notice the messengers that are coming in for you, because I just have this feeling that there's going to be almost these like waypoints of insight this month that are really going to help you navigate the rest of the year ahead. And, knowing that everything is coming in with a message of healing, that everything is helping you on your journey of becoming, and that no matter what, just for having decided to see this month as a pilgrimage, your life as a pilgrimage, you will not come back the same person as you were when you left. And that is a relief. That's a blessing. That's an opening. That's a newness in your life. That is fresh energy that can come in through being willing to devote yourself to this pilgrim path. And also reminding yourself that pilgrimages can be rigorous, that at the end of the day, taking some time to, rub your feet and to have a good meal and to care for yourself and your body as you are on this greater pilgrimage called life, because we need to be able to keep moving, to keep committing to this journey, to have the strength to get up the next day, and making these small moments to nourish yourself and congratulate yourself and really honor yourself for being brave enough. You were brave enough to come here, and you are brave enough to continue along the pilgrim path of your life. And that is no small feat. So I have loved doing these monthly intuitive readings, and it's just warmed my heart so much to hear how much they've been helpful for you. So if this reading resonated for you, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a voice message over at asiasuler.com/remember. You can leave me a voice note there. I love receiving your voice notes. It delights me so much to hear that these have been landing with you, that you have been taking these readings and really making them your own and really using them as guides to navigate the incredible life path that you are on. If this podcast is resonating with you, if it brings something to your life, it would mean the world to me if you gave this podcast a rating, a review, or shared it with a fellow sensitive or a fellow seeker in your life. This is my favorite way to keep connecting with people in this world, and the community that we're building here is just so special to my heart. So thank you again for your presence. Thank you for the pilgrim that you are in this life. It gives me so much heart strength and comfort knowing that we are on this pilgrimage together at this time, in this way, on this planet. It really means so much. And so as you step into this month of March, as you open your heart to whatever it is the pilgrimage of your life is showing you this month, may it help you remember, help you resource, help you connect back into that thing that helps us, that thing that never forsakes us, that thing that is a guiding light on our journeys, no matter how long they are. And that thing is remembering why you're here.